Did you know that the final chapter of Andy Griffith's life was very different from the warm, comforting world he created for audiences on The Andy Griffith Show? While millions remember him as the calm and wise Sheriff Andy Taylor, the reality behind the scenes was marked by hardship, health struggles, and emotional challenges that were not widely known to the public. As the years passed, his journey became more complex, and the effects of time touched not only Griffith himself, but also deeply impacted the life of his devoted wife, Cindi Knight. Their story reveals a much more personal and human side of a television legend. Andy Griffith was born and raised in the small town of Mount Airy, a quiet community located in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. Life in this region was simple, grounded, and closely tied to traditional Southern values. This very environment later became the inspiration for the fictional town of Mayberry, which would go on to become one of the most iconic settings in television history through The Andy Griffith Show. Although Mayberry was later portrayed as peaceful, friendly, and full of charm, Griffith's real childhood carried far more difficulty than the fictional world suggested. He was the only child of Carl Lee Griffith and Geneva Nunn Griffith, a working-class couple who struggled through the harsh economic realities of the Great Depression. His father worked as a carpenter and general laborer, taking whatever jobs were available just to keep the household running. Financial stability was rare, and the family often lived without basic comforts that many people take for granted today. During Andy Griffith's earliest years, the family reportedly could not afford a proper bed for him. In a desperate but resourceful solution, they placed the infant in dresser drawers that were repurposed as makeshift cribs. These humble and challenging beginnings left a lasting impression on him and played a significant role in shaping the grounded, humble personality that would later become one of his most admired traits. Despite the financial struggles, his childhood was not without warmth or happiness. Mount Airy was a tightly connected community where neighbors supported one another, and a strong sense of belonging existed among families. Growing up in this environment, Griffith was exposed to the richness of everyday small-town life, filled with unique personalities, shared stories, and a deep sense of community spirit. From a very young age, he displayed a natural gift for music and storytelling. He developed a strong interest in church hymns, traditional folk music, and the expressive characters of the people around him. These early influences would later become central to his artistic identity, shaping the way he performed, told stories, and connected with audiences. As he grew older, Griffith attended the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where he studied music and drama. At first, he considered pursuing a religious path in life and even contemplated becoming a Moravian preacher. However, as he became more involved in stage productions and musical performances, his passion for acting and entertainment gradually took priority. He discovered that the stage allowed him to express humor, emotion, and humanity in a way that deeply connected with audiences. Everything changed for him in 1960 when he stepped into the role that would define his career. He became the star of the television sitcom The Andy Griffith Show, a program set in the fictional town of Mayberry. The series followed Sheriff Andy Taylor, a calm, thoughtful, and kind-hearted lawman who relied on patience and understanding rather than force to solve problems. This character quickly resonated with viewers and helped turn the show into one of the most beloved television series in American history. Audiences across the country were drawn to the gentle humor, relatable characters, and nostalgic portrayal of small-town life. Almost overnight, Andy Griffith became one of the most recognizable faces in American entertainment. His portrayal of Andy Taylor transformed him into a cultural symbol of kindness, wisdom, and quiet leadership. However, what viewers saw on screen was only one side of reality. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere was far more demanding. Griffith was not just the lead actor, but also a major creative influence on the show. He played a key role in shaping its tone, direction, and storytelling style. Working closely with talented co-stars such as Don Knotts, who portrayed the famously nervous but lovable Deputy Barney Fife, Griffith helped build the chemistry that made the series unforgettable. Maintaining the success of the show required tremendous effort. Television production during the 1960s was an intense process involving long rehearsals, tight filming schedules, and constant pressure to produce high-quality episodes week after week. Griffith later admitted that the responsibility placed a heavy burden on him. While audiences imagined that his life mirrored the peaceful simplicity of Mayberry, Griffith often experienced stress, exhaustion, and anxiety behind the scenes. As the central figure of the series, he felt personally responsible for its success and reputation. The pressure to maintain strong ratings and consistently deliver engaging storylines created ongoing mental and physical strain. At times, the workload left him drained, both emotionally and physically. Even after filming ended for the day, he often found himself worrying about scripts, performances, and the direction of the show. The contrast between his public image and his private reality was striking. While millions saw Sheriff Andy Taylor as the embodiment of calm and ease, Griffith himself was working tirelessly to uphold that very illusion. The show's 8-year run from 1960 to 1968 firmly established his legacy in television history, but it also came at a personal cost that few people fully understood at the time. After the series ended in 1968, Griffith entered a new stage in his professional life. Although he had already achieved immense fame, he was determined not to be defined solely by one role. Throughout the 1970s, he continued working steadily in television films, stage productions, and various series, demonstrating his versatility as an actor. Many of these projects allowed him to explore more serious and dramatic roles, giving audiences a chance to see him outside the familiar image of Sheriff Andy Taylor. However, as is often the case with actors strongly associated with iconic characters, he occasionally struggled with public expectations. Many viewers still identified him primarily with Mayberry, making it challenging to fully escape that association. Despite these professional efforts, the most serious challenge he faced during this period was not related to his career, but to his health. In the early 1980s, Griffith experienced a devastating medical crisis when he was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, a rare neurological disorder that can become life-threatening. The condition affects the immune system and can lead to severe muscle weakness and even paralysis. In Griffith's case, the illness developed suddenly and progressed rapidly. Within a short period of time, he lost the ability to walk and became temporarily paralyzed. This shocking development deeply affected both him and those closest to him. He was forced to step away from his career entirely and begin an intensive recovery process involving hospitalization, physical therapy, and rehabilitation. At the height of the illness, there were serious concerns that he might never fully recover or return to acting. For someone whose career relied heavily on his physical presence, voice, and emotional expression, the situation was both frightening and uncertain. Months of treatment and slow progress eventually helped him regain strength, but the experience left a lasting impact on his life. In 1983, Andy Griffith entered a new and more peaceful chapter when he married Cindi Knight. This was his third marriage, and it would become one of the most meaningful and stable relationships of his life. After decades of living in the spotlight, this union marked the beginning of a quieter, more private lifestyle. Rather than remaining in major entertainment hubs, Griffith and Knight chose to build their life in North Carolina, close to the region where he grew up. Eventually, they settled on Roanoke Island, specifically in a peaceful area known for its natural beauty and calm coastal atmosphere. This environment offered him a sense of comfort and familiarity that reflected his southern roots. Friends and acquaintances often described Cindi Knight as deeply devoted to her husband. As Griffith aged and his health became more fragile, she remained by his side as both a loving partner and a dedicated caregiver. Their relationship was widely seen as grounded in mutual respect, emotional support, and genuine affection. Even during this quieter phase of life, Griffith did not fully retire from acting. In 1986, he made a successful return to television in the legal drama Matlock, where he portrayed the sharp and clever defense attorney Ben Matlock. The series became a major hit and ran for nearly a decade, proving that his talent and screen presence were still as strong as ever. Throughout this period, Cindi Knight continued to support him behind the scenes, helping him manage the balance between work responsibilities and the desire for a peaceful personal life. By the early 2000s, Griffith's life began to slow significantly as age and health challenges accumulated. After decades in the public eye, he gradually reduced his professional activity. He experienced several health complications, including issues related to heart disease. Combined with the long-term effects of his earlier illness, recovery became increasingly difficult. During these later years, he spent most of his time at home on Roanoke Island. The quiet coastal surroundings allowed him to live peacefully, surrounded by nature and far removed from Hollywood's demands. The slower pace of life suited him well, reflecting the values he had carried since childhood. Cindi Knight remained constantly by his side throughout this time. Known for her loyalty and unwavering care, she supported him as his health continued to decline. Their home became a private and peaceful space where only close friends and family were welcomed. Those who visited him during this period often described a reflective and thoughtful man who spent time looking back on his long and remarkable life. Music continued to play an important role in his daily routine, especially gospel and traditional Southern songs that connected him to his roots. Public appearances became increasingly rare, and fans slowly realized that the beloved actor was quietly stepping away from public life. Even so, his influence on American television remained strong and enduring. On July 3, 2012, Andy Griffith passed away at the age of 86. He died peacefully at his home in Manteo on Roanoke Island. Reports confirmed that the cause of death was a heart attack. News of his passing spread quickly, prompting tributes from fans, fellow actors, and public figures around the world. For decades, Griffith had been a comforting presence in entertainment, and his role as Sheriff Andy Taylor remained one of television's most enduring symbols of kindness and understanding. Even long after its original broadcast, The Andy Griffith Show continued to reach new audiences through reruns, introducing new generations to Mayberry's timeless charm. His later success in Matlock further solidified his legacy as a versatile and beloved performer. Despite his fame, Griffith remained known for his humility and simple lifestyle. In accordance with his wishes, his final arrangements were carried out quickly and privately. He had expressed a desire to be buried as soon as possible after his passing. Honoring that wish, his family arranged for a private burial on his property on Roanoke Island just hours after his death. The ceremony was quiet and intimate, reflecting the modest and private nature of the man behind the fame. After his passing, Cindi Knight withdrew from public life even more completely. Having shared nearly 3 decades of marriage with Griffith, she faced a profound loss of her lifelong partner and the center of her daily world. In the years that followed, she rarely appeared in public or spoke to the media. Those who knew her understood the depth of her grief and the strength of her devotion to her husband, especially during his declining health. Her quiet life after his death reflected the deeply personal bond they had shared throughout their years together.